On August 15, 1947, we attained independence. Alongside, the great ancient land of Bharat was partitioned on communal lines. On the one hand, when the Congress leadership and the Muslim leadership were preparing themselves for independence and taking over the rulership, British colonialists led by Lord Mountbatten were trying to execute the India's Independence Act hurriedly. Many parts of Akhand Bharat were witnessing riots, mayhems, murders and inhuman crimes against women. Gandhiji was taking tours in eastern parts of Bharat. The second Sarsangh Chalak of Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, Shri Golwalkar Gurji, was travelling in the western part, which constitute Pakistan now. RSS was running many refugee camps. Muslim League leaders were busy not just preparing for Pakistan, but also instigating communal frenzy mobs on the ground. A book by researcher and author Shri Prashant Pol tried to put together developments of this fortnight of August 1947 in his book, which is one of the best sellers, called Wo 15 Din, which is translated as Those 15 Days. This year, Organiser is taking you through the developments of those 15 days, going through the most happening 15 days towards Bharat's independence alongside the communal partition will provide new insights to the viewers and inspire them to take up research on various aspects of conversations, communications and negotiations, as well as the kind of communal frenzy things happening on the ground about India's independence and the great partition of this land. August 5th, 1947. Even though the weather was cloudy, a bit of cold could be felt. The road to Lahore from Jammu via Rawalpindi was good. Therefore, Gandhiji's caravan had left for Lahore via Pindi. A refugee camp called Wah fell on the way. Gandhiji wanted to visit this camp, but the workers accompanying him wished to avoid the site because Wah's refugee camp housed Hindu and Sikh survivors from the riots. Their stories of suffering were heart-rending. All of them had to flee their homes and take refuge in this camp. Many of them had their families killed. Many were forced to witness their sisters, daughters and wives being raped before their eyes. Obviously, the bitterness at the Congress and Gandhiji could be seen in the behavior and speech of these refugees. And that is why Gandhiji's fellow workers wanted Gandhiji to avoid visiting such a camp. However, Gandhiji was firm in his resolve to visit the refugee camp at Wah. So it was decided to go to Wah. The convoy reached Wah refugee camp in the afternoon. The camp was a living testament of a bloody history. The number of refugees in the camp had crossed 15,000 the previous month. However, as the August 15th approached near, the number of refugees began to decrease. It was as if it had been declared that this area would go to Pakistan, and the Sikh and Hindu refugees felt that they would not be safe in Pakistan. Therefore, these refugees were desperate to move to East Punjab, come what may. There were about 9,000 refugees in the camp that day. They comprised mostly of men and some elderly and old women. But young girls were almost non-existent. They had either been abducted and raped on their way to the camp, or had been raped and killed. The camp was less like a refugee camp but more a concentration camp. It had rained recently. The ground was filled with loose mud. Many tents were leaking. There were huge queues for rations and water. When Gandhiji reached there, some refugees stood in the portion where no mud was present. There were about 1.5 to 2,000 refugees. A dirty stink pervaded the atmosphere. Gandhiji said his prayer first and then the dialogue with the refugees began. Two Sikhs stood up on behalf of the campers. They said, relocate this camp to East Punjab. There will be Pakistan's and eventually Muslim League's rule over here after August 15th. They could massacre Hindus and Sikhs so atrociously during British rule, then what would happen under their rule would be beyond imagination. Gandhiji smiled at this and said in a low voice, and quote, I am not as apprehensive of riots as you are after August 15th. The Muslims wanted Pakistan and they have got it. I don't think they will do anything now. Moreover, Mr. Jinnah and the leaders of the Muslim League had promised peace and harmony. They have assured that Pakistan would protect the Hindus and Sikhs. So we must respect their promise. There is no reason to move this refugee camp to East Punjab. You are safe here. Allay the fear in your heart. Had I not promised to go to Naukhali, I would have stayed with you on August 15. Unquote. As Gandhiji spoke this, he could sense the anger, resentment, and frustration on the faces of the refugees. However, he could not understand why the refugees feared the Muslims. Still, he asked Dr. Sushila Nair to stay behind as his representative. Lahore, the city founded by Prabhu Shri Ramachandra, the home of Punjabi culture, the city of Shalimar Park, the city housing tombs of Noor Jahan and Jahangir, the city of Maharaja Ranjit Singh, a city of temples, gurudwaras and mosques, city of Kamini Kaushal, the city soaked in Punjabi hues and ethos, a city brimming with enthusiasm. However, the afternoon in Lahore was slow that day, a little melancholic also. All Hindu and Sikh traders in the city had called a strike. The Banda was called to protest against the atrocities being perpetrated on them. Earlier, Hindus and Sikhs had expressed their views at all levels. The wounds of the Islamic attacks in Lahore, Rawalpindi and surrounding areas 3.5 months ago in March-April were still afresh, and the effects of the attacks did not seem to diminish. The aggression by Muslim National Guard was growing. Their threats were growing. Overtly, the Muslim National Guard had no major connection with the Muslim League, but only nominally. Muslim National Guard was using Muslim League's flag itself. Covertly, the National Guard was a discreet but aggressive organization of the Muslim League. To chase away Hindu and Sikh traders and abduct their young girls was their main task. On that gloomy afternoon of Tuesday, August 5th, the governor's house in Lahore was not silent. Governor Sir Evan Jenkins was uneasily working in his office. Jenkins was a British bureaucrat entirely immersed in the Punjabi ethos. His knowledge of Punjab was accurate and perfect, and that's why he was against the partition from deep within his heart. He had been watching the developments in Lahore all day. He was worried if riots would break out with the Sikhs calling the strike. Information had reached to him that Muslim National Guard was trying to incite riots in full measure. With all this, he had received the instructions that Gandhiji will pay a visit to Lahore tomorrow. Therefore, he was more worried. The Bandh was successful in full measure in Gomti Bazar, Kishan Nagar, Sant Nagar, Ram Gali and Rajgarh areas of Lahore. Almost all the shops were closed. Traffic on the roads was also sparse. All these parts were Hindu-Sikh dominated. There was a huge network of Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh Shakhas in this area. Every Shakha held in the grounds in the evening had 200 to 300 Hindu-Sikh youths. The number of Sangh Shakhas in Lahore had crossed 250 before March. However, many Hindus were displaced after the riots in March-April and the Shakhas in these respective areas had been closed. About 1 lakh to 3 lakh Hindus, Sikhs in Lahore had left the city by now. In this atmosphere of riots, arson and disquiet, 1200 kilometers away from Lahore, a different kind of activity was in swing at Karachi in Sindh province. Men and more men could be spotted at the Karachi airport, which was hitherto never crowded. Guru Golwalkar of RSS was to arrive at Karachi exactly at 12:55 by the Tata Air Services plane. The plane had taken off from Mumbai's Juhu airport at exactly 8 am. It was to reach Karachi after making a halt at Ahmedabad. Dr. Abaji Thatte was accompanying Guruji on the. In this turbulent environment, the entire security of Shri Guruji was arranged by the Swayamsevaks. The Swayamsevaks had turned out in large numbers. Among these volunteers was Lal Krishna Advani, the Pranta Karyawa of the Karachi Mahanagar. A separate convoy of Swayamsevaks accompanied the Guruji's car. Karachi airport was not very big, so the number of Swayamsevaks appeared to be large. Guruji and Abaji got off the plane at exactly 1 o'clock. The Swayamsevaks standing at the airport did not show any hurry, commotion or confusion. Everything went off in a disciplined manner. 3 Swayamsevaks had arrived wearing burqas. They were scanning the entire area through the openings in the burqas. Guruji entered the airport building with Abaji amidst the chanting of single slogan, Bharat Mata Ki Jai. A large convoy of Sangh workers left for the city, taking Guruji along with it. The parade was to take place in full uniform the same evening itself, followed by a public meeting of Shri Guruji in the main chowk. It was a matter of great courage for the Hindus to take out parade and hold a public rally in an area which was to be included in Pakistan within 9 to 10 days and which was being called the provincial capital of Pakistan. Nevertheless, the RSS displayed this exemplary courage. Earlier too, the RSS had sent a strong message to the rioting Muslims and to infuse confidence among the Hindus. The parade started at exactly 5 o'clock. The Swayamsevaks had made special arrangements for the security of this parade. That parade with 10,000 volunteers was so impressive and effective that no one could have dared to launch an attack. Away from the riots on the eastern and western borders of India, away from the disquiet and refugee camps, the future Prime Minister of independent India, Jawaharlal Nehru, was busy in the task of constituting his new cabinet and ensuring the working of the new government at Nehru's residence at 7 York Road in Delhi. The afternoon of Tuesday, August 5th, was now moving towards evening. Nehru was dictating replies to the letters he had received. The letter sent by Lord Mountbatten on August 1st lay before him. The letter contained a query asking whether the Auditor General of India, Sir Partitioned, would be given an extension or not. It also said that Sir Steg was willing to work if given an extension. Nehru started to dictate the reply, placing the letter before him. Quote, Sir Batistake is the economic advisor to the Ministry of Finance and Auditor General of the Government of India too. Perhaps you may know that it's our policy to give extension to all those officers who wish to work in independent India. Of course, we will appoint Indians where suitable Indians are available for the respective post. However, for the time being, it is certain that we will continue to keep those officers on same position who wish to remain. Of course, Sir Batistake will continue to work as Auditor General of Independent India. Unquote. The next letter too was from Governor General Lord Mountbatten, but had arrived a bit earlier and was dated July 14th. Lord Sahib had put forward two things in this letter. First, what to do next with his staff, and secondly, he would like to live in a small house after leaving the Viceroy's house in independent India. Nehru became a bit thoughtful before replying, and then slowly he started dictating to the secretary. And I quote, Dear Lord Mountbatten, you have mainly mentioned 2 points in your letter dated July 14th concerning your staff and your future home. It is up to you to decide on the first of these two matters. Whatever staff you think necessary will remain with you on behalf of the Government of Independent India. I am glad that Lord Ismay will be with you. Your thought of relocating to a relatively smaller house is commendable, but at present it is difficult to find a residence that will suit you. And anyway, the Viceroy's house will not be of any use immediately, and hence it is requested that both of you should stay on in Viceroy's house. Unquote. All the preparations for the public meeting in the open space near the main square of Karachi were in full swing. A little nice stage with 3 chairs and a small table in the front and a lota with small glass on it, and a standing microphone in front. That's all. That was the preparation for the meeting of Shri Guruji. The volunteers were seated in a disciplined manner in the front. There was sitting arrangement for citizens on both sides. Some space was left for women. The meeting started at exactly 7 o'clock. Sadhu Vaswani, who was to preside over the meeting, was sitting to the right of Shri Guruji. Sadhu Vaswani was the Guru of the Sindhu community. He commanded high respect in the community, and the Sindh Pranta Sanghachalak was sitting on the left of Shri Guruji. Sadhu Vaswani was the Guru of the Sindhi community. He commanded high respect in the community, and the Sindh Pranta Sanghachalak was sitting on the left side of Shri Guruji. The crowd in the audience was huge. Sadhu Vaswani gave an introductory speech at the start. He said, "This moment, this time will certainly be recorded in history when Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh had stood behind our Sindhi Hindus as a mountain." And then began Shri Guruji's keynote address. In a slow but gentle, strong voice, clear pronunciation, a genuine concern from the Hindu brethren in the Sindh province. I quote, "A great calamity had befallen our motherland. The partition of the motherland is the result of the British policy of divide and rule. The Pakistan which the Muslim League had earned has come through the dance of destruction. Unfortunately, the Congress surrendered to the League. Muslims were misguided that they were a different nation as they follow the faith of Islam. Their customs and their culture are Indian, not Arabic. It is difficult to imagine our divided motherland without the Sindhu river. This is the region of the Sapta Sindhu, 7 Sindhu rivers. This is a region embellished with the glorious bravery of King Dahir. We have to forsake this region of ours, sanctified with the presence of Devi Hinglas. In this time of crisis, All Hindus have to look after each other. These days of crisis will surely go. Unquote. The historic rally in Karachi was thrilled with Shri Guruji's speech. The speech was followed by a tea session with some of the prominent personalities of Karachi. Shri Guruji was acquainted with many Hindu leaders of Karachi. Guruji would meet them without fail during his travels every year. Ranganathan, Dr. Choithram, Professor Ghanshyam, Professor Malkani, Lalji Mehrotra, Shivratan Mahota, Bhai Pratap, Nishchal Das Wazirani, Dr. Hemal Das Wadhwani, Mukhi Govindam Ram, among others. Most of them were present at the meeting. The editor of Sindh Observer and a prominent personality in Karachi, K. Punaiya, was also present in the meeting. He put a question to Sri Guruji. What is wrong in accepting this partition willingly? What's wrong in cutting off a rotten leg? The person can still live on, isn't it? Prompt came the reply from Sri Guruji. What if a man's nose is cut off? He still lives on? Those Hindu brethren from Sindh province had so many things to say. These men who were seeing a dark future ahead were literally crushed. They wanted to share a lot with Shri Guruji, but time was short. So many tasks were to be fulfilled. Shri Guruji was scheduled to conduct a meeting of Pracharaks and Karyavas in that area. Arrangements were to be made. On the night of August 5th, even at the capital, Delhi was sleeping peacefully. Wildfire was raging in Punjab, Sindh, Balochistan and Bengal provinces. And during his stay at Karachi, Shri Guruji Golwalkar was getting arrangements made while watching this horrible drama of partition going on. This was August 5th, 1947.